Halloween is known for two things, Michael Myers and John Carpenter. It's hard to understate the importance of Halloween as an indie horror film because it influenced so many greats, such as Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Its bold camera work, artistic framing compositions, and Carpenter's personal vision helped make this film a success. The concept was dreamt up by executive producer Irwin Yablans on an airplane. After coming back from a film festival in Milan, he was thinking up an idea that would be cost-effective. The result was a madman stalking and killing babysitters. He figured that since the role was commonplace, the story would be relatable. So once he landed, he pitched the idea to John Carpenter, creating the success that would eventually be known as Halloween. Yet despite this, the film was directed and shot in only about 20 days, the screenplay itself being finished in only 10 days, and the budget was very low, approximately over $320,000 at that time. This did not stop the team, and despite its initial limited distribution of only 232 screens in the total of 4 weeks, the film made a total of $70 million worldwide, becoming one of the most successful indie films of all time. Carpenter himself was only paid $10,000, and so long as he stuck within the 20-day time frame, due to the release being around Halloween season, he was allowed creative freedom and the final cut. Although it was a success, the limited budget was a cause of concern because the production took place in limiting locations in California, and the team had to reuse dead leaves to recreate the effect of fall, and buy cheap clothing to compensate for the production budget being so low. Carpenter himself was fairly inexperienced with only one film under his belt, Assault on Precinct 13, and the cast was full of unknowns with the lead character played by newcomer Jamie Lee Curtis. These handy cuts would have easily created an unpolished movie, but this didn't go unnoticed with Carpenter's team because it gave more time to focus on the film's world building.
Day of reckoning with himself. The idea is that destiny is a very real, concrete thing that every person has to deal with. How does Samuel's view of fate differ from that of Costain's? Laurie?
Ma'am?
Answer the question.
Take, for example, the fictional setting of Haddonfield, Illinois. Rather than taking place in a rural setting such as the farmhouse like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or spooky environments like Dracula's Castle, the team chose to have it take place in ordinary suburbia. This creates a feeling of relatability as this may happen in the viewer's neighborhood. According to Deborah Hill, the co-writer of Halloween, she noted by saying, "You put the story in a sleepy town, really beautiful homes, nice full trees. It seems safe."
Totally.
One of Halloween's biggest strengths is its tone and build-up. In this scene, for example, the cinematography and dialogue helps create the mood of the setting because her friend constantly speaks in jargon, and the framing of the shots is fairly wide, with a slow tracking shot giving off a feeling of discomfort. By utilizing the foreground in his compositions, Carpenter is able to establish the scene and quickly shift it to something unexpected, providing that fear factor. This is because the film itself was filmed with a Steadicam, which helped the crew move more easily.
Me, girl. What time tonight?
I don't know yet. I have to get out of taking my little brother trick-or-treating.
Saving treats for Bob.
Funny. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
However, it isn't until the antagonist, Michael Myers, comes into the picture. Whenever he is on screen, the music becomes more sinister and more varied shots begin to happen.
Oh, look. Look where?
Michael Myers himself is very impressive. Donned in a boiler suit and a painted $2 Shatner mask, Myers was essentially a generic man who could be a symbol of anyone, instead of the vampires or Frankensteins of yesteryear. While we don't get much of the character, his appearances always appear to be in the realm of supernatural, always popping up within a sudden moment and being silent all the way through.
Come on out.
When the movie first begins, we take a look into the psyche of his character. In the opening sequence of the movie, we get a first-person perspective of a young Michael going to his house. The setting helps set the mood that it's a household on a Halloween night. Carpenter's score, which was composed in 3 days, helps add a sense of suspense throughout the scene, slowly building up to the moment where Myers eventually kills his sister Judith. This build-up was established because Carpenter wanted to tell his story verbally and suspensefully. Carpenter could have shot this sequence conventionally, but instead he had his camera operator creep around the house through the kitchen and up the stairs, with the rest of the crew moving equipment and shifting lights as the sequence continued.
Look, Judy, it's really late. I gotta go.
Will you call me tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Promise?
Yeah.
Take a look at this sequence towards the climax of the film. Notice how the entire scene, whenever it is positioned with Laurie, has this sense of urgency. How the camera constantly follows her and shakes as if it's handheld. If you look at the scenes with Myers, his shots are consistently steady, hardly moving at all, showing the unknown, the robotic tone, and the overall terror that is Michael Myers. In fact, one of the things this movie does so well is that ambiguity of Myers. Are his actions based on a specific form of trauma? Is he himself doing it, or is a higher power responsible?
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
In fact, all the horror scenes in this movie were intricately made to have a scale of terror. Curtis, in an interview, explained that Carpenter worked with the cast directly to create the desired effects of horror. This goes extremely well with Carpenter's work, as he heavily utilizes build-up and suspense before the climax of the shot happens. Combine that with his heavy use of lighting and poignant soundtrack, and it helps make the sequence, such as the laundry scene, extremely memorable. Finally, in the ending, we see Michael Myers at the conclusion of the chase sequence. Laurie Strode is fighting desperately for her life before Dr. Loomis comes down and finally kills Myers, only to find his corpse gone from the scene. No matter how many times Myers goes down, he seems to always come back again like a zombie. Deborah Hill explains that this was intentional, as the idea was you couldn't really kill evil, and that's how we came about the story. The music escalates, the dark lighting helps create a tone.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Loomis's answers help paint further the ambiguous nature of Myers, which ends with the crescendo of him disappearing and several jump cuts with his breathing over it. The main theme playing, showing that he is still out there. So what made Halloween great? Despite its technical and budget shortcomings, Carpenter and his team was able to create a film that oozed with terror and suspense. Taking place in a neighborhood with a babysitter as a protagonist helped ground the film, and having Myers be a male with a white mask helped paint a sense of unknown terror that could be anyone. The lighting, framing, and bold camera direction of Carpenter, combined with its unique soundtrack, helped create a film that terrified audiences for decades to come.